there's always a conversation happening between creator and creation. And this conversation is what results in the world events and what's taking place and what the things that we can see. The things that we can see are not where we'll find the message, but behind the things that we can see, there's a conversation going on, and this results in what we can see. And sometimes the soul is frustrated because it's misunderstood. And we'll see that frustration by violence that happens, and something restless is in the soul. There isn't unity, there isn't peace in the soul. When we don't know how to create peace amongst us, then we will see the anger that we create, we will see it come back from other places. Like we see in the ancient world, whenever there was suffering created, whether it was the Egyptians creating suffering, Vatal Shavasum El Elihim, the suffering, whatever is wrong, the anger, the curses that people put on each other in their hearts, has a power, it goes somewhere. And also by Sodom, there was a scream coming up from the suffering of the people that results in some type of a process. So these processes, we participate in these processes all the time. We create this energy that results in what will be all the time. And this is because we haven't understood the soul. We don't yet know how to behave with him in a way that doesn't result in frustration. This is what we're still trying to discover. We're trying to do tshuva. We're trying to come back to the heart and to liberate it so that it doesn't cause for itself all this frustration. So that we don't invite on ourselves all kinds of suffering spiritually. Because if we are in conflict with ourselves, if we're in conflict amongst each other, this invites. This makes us weak spiritually. And all wars are spiritual wars because they want to break the spirit of the opponent. That's what the war is about. So it's about the spirit. It's a war over the spirit. Who will have a stronger spirit? This is what the soldiers need to fight, is to have a strong spirit. He doesn't belong there. If he has a spirit that's not ready, so this is what we can do to help. If we want to help, this is what we can do to help, is to create a strong spirit. A spirit that understands that there is a bigger language happening over here. There's a truth, there's a reality of why things take place the way that they do. There's no mistakes. From our end, we made mistakes. From the face of reality, there's no mistakes. These mistakes are a result of something wrong in the way that we understand reality, in the way that we live. And then we have enemies, and then we have extreme enemies. These enemies are ancient enemies, also in their location and also in their name. They represent an ancient people that were constantly there, that if we forgot what we are made of and who we really serve, this nation would come and bother us. Knock, knock. you've forgotten. And this was constantly in and out. Then we had Shimshon HaGiber, we had some reprieve, we had David HaMelech, he took care of them. Then times were different. But we constantly needed liberation. There was something there that was designed like this. It's designed like this because we need some reminder, otherwise we can forget long term. We can start arguing amongst ourselves and forget that all of us are serving a bigger purpose that we haven't yet properly understood. Instead of searching for the purpose, we might lock into our positions and just argue with each other. And that takes us nowhere. And so if we're going to argue, we're going to create that type of energy, then that energy will come manifold in ways that we can't imagine. And that's because this type of behavior, it makes the spirit weak. If we don't have a strong spirit, we don't have the right protections, we don't have the right angels that are making sure that we have peace. When we break each other down, we both have less protection spiritually. And so this is a time for unity, this is a time for waking up to the fact that we are all one. Also the ones that are hurting us are part of that unity. They just don't know it and they can't know it. They haven't behaved in a way that they should deserve to know it. And yet that's what they are. Eventually they will regret what they did. They will know the truth. But for us, we have to unite and to remember that we are one with each other. We come from the same spirit. It dresses up as many and yet it's all one. We have to remember. Something has been forgotten. This is why we have lost a certain protection. And we have to remember, in order to regain our protection, we have to remember each other. We have to remember that there is one that became many, and not one to himself. No one is to himself. And this results in all the nations forgetting their differences and coming together. This is what's going to lead to the final prophecies where the world is going to have peace. Everyone will live together. No one will create any weapons. This is a natural outcome of certain realizations. It's not a miracle, it's a way of understanding life. It's a way of living that's attached to reality. The way that we live today leaves us open to all types of illusions, including war. War is a form of illusion. War is played in someone's imagination, but the results are horrifying. And so the truth will result in a unity where everything becomes united with each other. Every individual, every community, every nation, they all realize that whatever we have together. If we're fighting, we both lose. This is the nature of a fight. There's nothing to be gained, we both lose. Spiritually, there's more trauma within our people. So what if they make a party? They're traumatized, they're never going to be the same selves. So whichever side wins gets to make a party, but no side gets their soul back. Whatever soul gets lost cannot be received back. If a person wakes up, then it's a good deal. Waking up is a good deal at any time, for any price. It's coming back to reality, it's gaining access to reality. It's an opportunity to wake up. What we think life is, it's not. If life was what we think it is, this would never happen, this wouldn't be possible. But in the world that the Creator created, this is definitely one of the options, because there's something much bigger going on. We need to wake up to realize that the world is bigger than what we imagine. The good is much better, and also the bad is bigger. It's much bigger in all ways. And that big world we are already living in. It's really happening. And there's a good that justifies every bad. The one who designed life has an explanation, even for things that to us can have no explanation. Some might feel it's easier to believe that he made a mistake. But it might be easier momentarily. In the long run, it's much harder. To believe that he made a mistake means that there is no longer any foundation to lean on. And so the true belief is that he can make no mistake. This is part of a language. The language is bigger than us, but the language is true and accurate and real. And only what needs to happen can happen, and it's all based on justice that he knows. And he will make it right. Every soul that goes through any type of experience, he will make it right until that soul is pleased to have gone through that experience. That soul knew before it was born, before it was created, that this is the experience it's coming for. It wanted to do it, and after the experience, it will get compensated until it agrees that it was worth what happened. That's how big what we are working against is, what we are working with. What is working in all sides, the one that's giving power to all existence. That power is right. We don't understand. But that's what he's frustrated with, is that we don't understand. We don't take it seriously enough. We're too distracted. If we do it accurately, it happens accurately. If we don't know how we're doing it, then we're sending the wrong signals to the universe. If we're arguing with each other, we're sending the wrong signals to the universe. We're labeling threats on our friends, and our enemies get to plot against us freely. We have to be aware of what we are inviting from the Spirit. And then this gives us strength. This gives us the ability to help every situation, regardless of how it feels while we experience it. The reason we are experiencing it is so that we can help, so that we can make whatever decisions in order to alleviate the human suffering that's involved in this event. And that starts with ourselves, and it extends to whoever we have access to. And the main suffering is the psychological suffering, the spiritual suffering, the doubt, the fear. the guilt. If we can help people reduce those effects, then we can help them remain themselves, so they don't forget themselves in certain circumstances. We know that the process of exile is such that there are amounts of suffering that get decreed based on different levels of ignorance that humanity demonstrates. And we can see the ignorance in the day-to-day. We can see how humanity is not being kind to itself. But what we don't understand is how far-reaching are the little frustrations that we cause each other. How far-reaching are the different vibrations that we are sending through our heart to the universe. And this is the nature of our power. This is the most beautiful part of this process. But when we don't understand it, when we don't cooperate with it, when we don't make each other feel the right way, it works against us. And so it's a time for us to come back to feeling connection, feeling love, feeling caring. And this happens automatically. This is natural. Is that if we become too judgmental, comes a tragedy, and then suddenly everyone turns to compassion. This is a natural process. But if we are intelligent, we don't wait for the natural process to play out. We go for compassion. And we don't forget. Even when things are okay, we need to be compassionate with each other. Our feelings of compassion inspire compassion in all that exists. Our lack of compassion, to us it might seem, what's the big deal? But that translates in the lower elements of humanity to actual cruelty. Everyone is according to their level of refinement, according to their sensitivities. But when we're violating compassion, there's an invitation for cruelty, and that translates in all the different layers. And so people might be arguing about politics, or might be arguing about something that has nothing to do with the spiritual. They might be arguing about money. But spiritually they're arguing, therefore they're inviting, according to the level of heat that they're generating against each other. And then that invites cruelty. That invites things that we don't appreciate. The human heart is very sensitive and it's very accurate. So we want to wake up a unity, we want to wake up a love for humanity, for all the creatures of the earth, for everything that can feel. Because we see how this appreciation is lacking in the world. We want to fill whatever the world is lacking. So we want to add sensitivity, we want to add compassion, unity, love, acceptance. to remove judgment. To remove judgment because we haven't yet understood the first thing about what's happening here. And so how can we possibly know? How can we possibly understand another? We haven't even understood ourselves. And so we can't judge unless we know, and we don't know, and therefore there's no room to judge. And when we remove judgment, we invite unity. Judgment simply means we're going to decide what belongs where. Unity is the opposite. It's everything that exists is part of this. And so when we have compassion, we invite unity. Unity results in all the nations learning to worship life, not to violate the sanctity of life, not to violate the sacredness. It doesn't matter what the cause, it doesn't matter what the reason, nothing can justify violating the sacredness of life. Those who are alive and they violate that sacredness, they show that really they and life have no relationship. They are not alive even while they can still move. It's completely demonic, there is no soul. This is the arm of the collective that is representing the part of us that is angry at reality. And so therefore that part doesn't have a soul. And this is what's reflected in their behavior. So we want to wake up the soul. Akol Kol Yaakov, we want to use speech, we want to use song. We come against them with our power. They will go and try to fight and try to hurt, and we will make life sweet. We will remember the sweetness of life. This is why the whole Torah lost its meaning, is because we lost the sweetness of life. The Torah can only be understood when life is sweet. Even the Creator wouldn't want to create a world if he would see it from the perspective we see it from, when it's difficult. He only created it when it was sweet to him. It was very good. Therefore he created it, he found something sweet in it. So if we're sitting in a bitter place and we're learning the Torah, we can never understand it. And so when they wake up the bitter, we wake up the sweet. We remember why life is sweet. We try to hold on to life. Not just hold on to the physical part of it. Hold on to the spirit of life. Hold on to the ruach of life. To choose life consciously, regardless of what's happening. To understand the value of life, the sanctity of life. To understand how proud we should be that we dignify life. Those who don't dignify life have no dignity. They show by their actions that they don't belong over here. They can't own anything. They can't own the land. They don't own the air that they breathe, because they're against what's happening over here. They're against life itself. They don't dignify it. They don't respect it. They don't understand its value. And we are the exact opposite. Till our last breath, we will remember the sanctity of life, the dignity of life inside of us or inside of any other human being. the life that belongs to the only one who can give life. The most precious, the most sacred that there is. And this is what we represent proudly throughout all generations. The one who made life is one, and he loves life. And we, together with him, love life. And he created life for his worship. And we, together with him, worship by living and by cherishing life and by dignifying life and by uniting with others who want to worship life. And by standing firm against those who want to go against life. This is what we are about, this is what we've been about for thousands of years, and it wasn't ever easy. And until we are completely out of this madness that we've been suffering from, the other nations will reflect our madness, and they will remind us of our shortcomings. And always the message is the same, that we need to understand, that we need to wake up, that we need to remember. It's certainly not a message for them. They're happy with these results. It's a message to us. We have been doing something, we have been understanding something, and it's not accurate, it's not that way. We have to be humble enough to look at our ways to find what it is that we can adjust, what it is that we can understand, so that we don't create the energies that cause the friction, so that we don't create the pain that results in more pain. And this is what he is always demanding of us, is that we search, that we take it seriously. This is more serious than any of our other endeavors. Whatever it might be, survival is important, but the soul of it, the soul is under attack. The soul has been removed from the experience. And this he wants from us, that we should take it seriously. That we should search within our hearts, that we should search b'chol levavenu, b'chol nafshenu, with all our hearts and all our soul. That's what he's asking for. So that when we find it, we will love it with all our heart and all our soul. We will know that we want to give to this everything that we have, including our life. To this, something that is so lovable. But to find that thing that's so lovable, we have to first search for it with all our heart and all our soul. Because it's the source, it's the root of life, that from there we get everything that we have. Obviously, that's worth more than anything that we can have with it. And so that we have to love more than anything. And that gives us the power to overcome anyone that will stand in our way. If we can unite with the one who makes us, with his will, if we are united with his will, that no will stand in our way. So this is a tragic opportunity. What's happening is something that we can't understand, we can't know how to relate to. We can't make these calculations, and yet we know that he is absolutely right. And so it's an opportunity to wake up. Reality is not what we think it is. It never was what we think it is. It was something that we don't know yet, and that's what it is. And we are bound to it. We are bound by it. It's an opportunity to wake up and say, life is bigger than what I imagined. Life has more than what I imagined. And somehow in that bigger context, there are answers for things that in my context can have no answers. And this brings humility. This brings us to a place where we are trying to accommodate what's real. Not that, oh, we have heard it a certain way and now reality will have to comply with what we thought. No, now's an opportunity to say, reality is a certain way, and if we hear differently, we have to just adjust to reality, because reality is bigger. Reality is more important. And the effect that we have in either direction with what we do and what we say and how we feel, this is where we can make a difference. This is where we can help the situation. This is where we can create a spirit that will result in our success. It will result in us conquering whatever forces are against us, whether they're in the physical realm or in the spiritual realm. And may this be the time where we awaken in a way that we will never fall asleep again. In a way that we will always remember who we are and what we were meant to be. And that will be the time of the final redemption. People will finally see the truth for what it is, see the context of all the events, understand how the most compassionate created the reality that can result in what would seem to be so much cruelty. And so this is what we look forward to. This is the time when the minds will be straight and the hearts can relax.